Welcome to Srebrenica Memorial Day 2021 UK ceremony. My name is Wakar Azmi and I'm the chair of Remembering Srebrenica UK. I am immensely proud of the fact that Britain is the only country outside of Bosnia and Herzegovina that officially commemorates the Srebrenica Genocide, the worst atrocity on European soil since the Second World War. The UK Srebrenica Memorial Day has cross-party and government support both at national level in Westminster and devolved level in Scotland, Wales and Northern Ireland. Last year, we marked the 25th anniversary entirely online with speeches from His Royal Highness the Prince of Wales, Prime Minister Boris Johnson, President Shafiq Jafarich, Keir Starmer, President Bill Clinton and Angelina Jolie. Today, we have gathered online again in these difficult times. Although we're not able to be together physically, we are together in spirit. We join thousands of people up and down the country who this week will be marking Srebrenica Memorial Day in local councils, police stations, prisons, places of worship, community centres and schools. Each year, Remembering Srebrenica UK selects a theme that not only reflects an aspect of the genocide that must be commemorated, but also speaks to communities here in the UK. The theme for this year is Rebuilding Lives. In albeit very different ways, the COVID pandemic has brought loss and difficulties to millions, shattering individuals and communities who are now looking to rebuild their lives. And as we move forwards to rebuilding our communities in the wake of the many health and economic challenges, which people with divisive agendas are all too keen to exploit, we will remember and learn from the stories of genocide survivors who, despite the horrendous hatred and destruction they experienced, have rebuilt their lives with dignity and without calling for retribution or promoting hatred or division. Their spirit is remarkable and their humanity inspiring. We will remember.
Pravac Potočar i Bratunac, nemojte se zaustavljati, ajde. Treći ispred mene, skroz, ajde. Uoči još jednog velikog praznika srpskoga, poklanjamo srpskom narodu ovaj grad i napokon došao je trenutak da se posle bune protiv Dahija Turcima osvetimo na ovom prostoru.
I was living in a village outside Bratunac, or if you will, outside Srebrenica. I lived with my mother, with my father, and a younger sister. I lived in a part of a village that where pretty much everyone that I was related to also lived. So there was like I don't know, about almost a dozen houses with people with the same surname. It was a cozy, comfortable childhood. It was a cozy, comfortable growing up. I miss it greatly. But I guess I miss it also because so many of the people that I remember growing up with are no longer alive. My family and I ended up in Srebrenica, and I remember that year as the time in my life when I was really hungry every single day. There wasn't a single day between May 1992 and April 1993 that I could say that I wasn't hungry. I wasn't really sure that we were going to get out. I wasn't sure that we were going to survive. I knew for a fact, I knew it in my bones, that every man that they got their hands on back then would be killed. I knew it because my family was actually killed in my relatives were killed in 1992. The things that you see and survive become part of your identity, and that also works for me. That also is the case with me. As long as I'm here, the commemoration is going to be about any one of them, or all of them together.
Marking Srebrenica Memorial Day provides an opportunity to recognize the suffering of the victims and the survivors. These are inspirational individuals who, despite experiencing the very worst of humanity, have shown great strength and determination to rebuild their lives and resist hatred. The 11th July has been designated as the official day of remembrance for the victims of Srebrenica. During this week, each year, we're asked to honor the victims and survivors of the genocide and pledge to create a better, stronger, and more cohesive society in the United Kingdom.
Mislim da se mnogo toga treba vratiti baš na 92. To je bila jedna teška godina. Svakodnevno granatiranje, bez struje, bez vode, bez ičega što je bilo normalno za život. Ja sam tu provodila vrijeme sa djecom. 92. godine morali smo napustiti svoju porodičnu kuću. 20 dana smo hodali po šumama, načali, spavali i posle toga, to je bio znači kraj maja, kad smo došli u Srebrenicu, u grad. U gradu Srebrenici već je bilo sve pusto. Tamo nije bilo nikoga. Mogu se sreti sam pokoji pas lutalica. Sve je bilo, mirisalo ili smrdilo, kako god hoćete, na izgorelu, jer su sve kuće bile popaljene, opljačkane, nije bilo nikoga. I to je bio jedan od težih dana u mom životu. Tu mi je bilo jasno da smo u jednom začaranom krugu. Svaku večer bili ste sretni samo kad doživite jutro. Da ste zdravi, da ste ostale. Što kažu, dnevno su znale padati i po 3-4 hiljade granata na potočare. Ja sam izgubila mnogo familije u toku rata samog i posle pada u Srebrenici. Izgubila sam muža, izgubila 2 sina, svekra, 2 djevera, amidžića, tetića, dajđića, to da ne brojim, ne znam ni koji je to broj. Masu familije, znači kod moje svekrve 7 muškaraca iz kuće, svi su nastradali, ostao je samo moj Adnan, to je najmlađi sin koga sam prevala u potočarima. I od te familije svi su nastradali.
Ja zapravo nisam nikog izgubio. Moja 11-godišnja djevojčica je ubijena, jer izgubiti možete neki predmet, za koji postoji mogućnost da ga nekad i pronađete. Moja kćerka je ubijena gelorom granati 20. marta 1993. godine. Najteže, bar meni, a znam i mnogim roditeljima, je bilo kako u to vrijeme zaštititi djecu da im se ne dogodi tragedija, da ne budu ranjeni ili ubijeni. I meni kad se desilo to 20. marta, kao taj osjećaj, nema ti riječi da bi opisao taj osjećaj, one ne postoje. Kao da se srušio cijeli svijet, kao da je sve stalo, sve uništeno, sve bez ikakvog pogleda u budućnost.
Ja i brat nikad nismo u stvari bili djeca i nikad nismo odživjeli svoje djetinjstvo. Sve se završilo u jednom danu i u jednom plamenu. Naša kuća je izgorjela u aprilu 1992. godine.
Dvije godine nakon pada Srebrenice, u iščekivanju i u beznađu, da sam provela plačući nad svojom sudbinom, nad sudbinom te moje porodice, nad sudbinom Srebrenice, tog naroda. Nisam, psihički sam bila pala. Međutim, uvijek je postao opet tračak nade, pa možda je neko negdje živ.
U dolini tog puta, negdje na kraju, smo ugledali 3 vojnika. Onako, hodali su bosi i potpuno pocijepanih, garderobe na sebi, zavrnutih hlača. I kako su se oni približavali, mama je prepoznala mog oca i njegova 2 saborca. Ja sam se otrgnula od nje. I našla se u njegovom zagrljaju. Taj neki krik između mene i njega je jednostavno odjeknuo tom dolinom. Nekako sam tek shvatila tog trenutka šta se moglo desiti. Kao da sve ono što sam potiskivala i ono čega nisam bila svjesna, a to je da on mogao da ne dođe kao i svi drugi očevi, tek sam tad tog trenutka oživjela i taj strah me preplavio. Vrlo brzo se mama našla također u našem zagrljaju i zajedno smo se vratili po brata. I od tog trenutka smo bili zajedno.
Ja zaista, kao i mnogi građani Bosne i Hercegovine, nisam mogao da zamislim da će ta agresija, taj rat biti u takvoj mjeri, tako brutalan, tako, kako bi rekao, zvjerski ispoljen nad nedužnim građanima, posebno grada Sarajeva, koje je već od prvih dana bilo u opsadi.
It gives me great pleasure to now welcome the member of the Presidency of Bosnia and Herzegovina, His Excellency Mr. Šefik Džaferović.
Vaše ekscelencije, dame i gospodo, čini mi čast što se obraćam na obilježavanju Nacionalnog dana sjećanja na genocid u Srebrenici. Na samom početku želim zahvaliti vlastima Velike Britanije i organizaciji Remembering Srebrenica što svakog 11. jula priređuju državnu komemoraciju u znak sjećanja na žrtve genocida. To je nešto što mi u Bosni i Hercegovini jako cijenimo. S tim u vezi dajem punu podršku aktivnostima organizacije Remembering Srebrenica na podizanju svijesti o zločinima počinjenim u Bosni i Hercegovini, kao i na edukaciji ljudi u Velikoj Britaniji i širom svijeta o važnosti suprotstavljanja mržnji i predrasudama. Genocid u Srebrenici predstavlja najveći zločin počinjen na europskom tlu nakon Drugog svjetskog rata. 5 decenija nakon što je svijet kazao nikad više, u julu 1995. godine u istočnoj Bosni izvršene su zastrašujuće egzekucije u kojima je za samo nekoliko dana ubijeno više od 8.000 muškaraca i dječaka. Bili su to, kako su istaknule haške sudije, scene pakla ispisane na najmračnijim stranicama ljudske historije. Ova masovna pogubljenja koja su vršena po obrascima nacističkih streljačkih odreda predstavljala su završni čin trogodišnjeg genocidnog procesa koji su provele snage predvođene Slobodanom Miloševićem, Radovanom Karadžićem i Ratkom Mladićem u svrhu uspostave etnički čiste Velike Srbije. Bio je to zločinački poduhvat koji je rezultirao smrću više od 100.000 i raseljavanjem miliona ljudi te razaranjem čitave zemlje. Na koncu 20. stoljeća čovječanstvo je još jednom posvjedočilo do čega dovodi neobuzdana mržnja u formi etnocentrične politike. Uprkos sistemskoj mržnji koja je kulminirala genocidom u Srebrenici, narod kojem pripadam nije krenuo putem osvete. Umjesto toga usmjerili smo našu snagu ka borbi za istinu, pravdu i očuvanje multietničke države Bosne i Hercegovine. Ovo je prilika da posjetim i na to da je veliki broj preživjelih žrtava pronašao utočište u zemljama širom svijeta, između ostalog i u Velikoj Britaniji. Činjenica da su unatoč ogromnoj traumi uspjeli obnoviti život ukazuje na fascinantnu snagu njihovog duha. Oni su iskoristili svoje iskustva za jačanje socijalne kohezije, međuvjerskog razumijevanja i iskorjenjivanja mržnje u zemljama u kojima sada žive. Odajući priznanje hrabroj i dostojanstvenoj borbi preživjelih protiv zla, obnavljamo našu posvećenost da nikada ne zaboravimo žrtve genocida. Moja poruka je jasna. Potrebna nam je istina i potrebna nam je pravda, jer istina i pravda su temelj na osnovi koji možemo graditi budućnost u kojoj neće biti straha da će se ponoviti strahote genocida u Srebrenici. Sjećanje na genocid i obrazovanje mladih, novih generacija o njemu predstavlja uslov za suzbijanje mržnje, izgradnju mirnog, sigurnog i kohezivnijeg društvenog ambijenta. Laž, negiranje genocida i neznanje predstavlja izvorište novih podjela i sukoba i svi mi, bilo da smo Bošnjaci, Srbi, Hrvati ili ostali, trebamo se boriti protiv toga kako bismo preuzeli odgovornost za našu budućnost. Zahvaljujem još jednom svima vama što ste se okupili i dali svoj doprinos obilježavanju dana sjećanja na genocid u Srebrenici.
Today we mark 26 years since the Srebrenica genocide in Bosnia and Herzegovina. It was one of the very worst atrocities to take place on European soil since the end of the Second World War. In a planned operation, more than 8,000 people were murdered, mostly Muslim men and boys, and over 20,000 women and children were forcibly expelled from their homes. Unimaginable. Today we remember them. We come together to mourn the victims of those terrible events, and we stand with the families in their fight for justice. And of course, although we can't change the horrific events of the past, we can at least strive to ensure that such crimes are not repeated again. And we can uphold international law. The United Kingdom has played a vital role in bringing war criminals to justice for the crimes that they have committed. Earlier in my career, working at the Foreign Office and posted to The Hague as a lawyer, I worked with the International Criminal Tribunal for the former Yugoslavia. And I feel very proud with the Foreign Office to have been part of that important work. And we've demonstrated our commitment to international justice once again by agreeing to the transfer of Radovan Karadzic from The Hague to serve his life sentence in the UK. In fact, it was under the sentence enforcement agreement that I negotiated with the UN back in The Hague 17 years ago. And so with Karadzic serving time in a British jail, and with the conviction of Ratko Mladic recently upheld by the appeals chamber, the architects of so much suffering and bloodshed are at least being held responsible for their appalling crimes. It's been a long time coming, but I just hope that this has brought at least some measure of solace to the survivors and the families of the victims. It also does something else which I believe is very important. It punctures the veil of impunity for such appalling crimes. We've sowed the seed of doubt in the minds of those who might in the future commit such horrendous atrocities. No more than that, perhaps, but they can't any longer be sure they will get away with their awful crimes. They'll harbour the doubt, even if it's just at the back of their minds, the fear that the international community will not give up on its pursuit of the guilty, that they may end up behind bars, that the search for justice will go on however long it takes to make sure that justice is done. Amidst the grief of this tragic memorial, let us reinforce that message from the international community and let us nurture the hope that comes with ending impunity.
Today, we are not only honoring the victims and survivors of the genocide at Srebrenica, but are paying tribute to those who survived the other atrocities, which were committed during the Bosnian War. Their resilience and courage is an inspiration to us all, and we are pleased that they will be honored by political leaders from every corner of the United Kingdom.
Today we honour Bakira Hasicic, a victim of sexual violence committed during the Bosnian War. Despite everything she has gone through, which includes receiving death threats, Bakira has helped bring more than 80 war criminals to justice. When we talk about Srebrenica, we talk about the 8,372 victims named at the Potocari cemetery. It is right and proper that we remember these lost lives each year on Srebrenica Memorial Day. In doing so, we must never forget that Srebrenica was the final culmination of a genocidal plan aimed at Bosnian-Muslims. Among the victims of this plan were the 20,000 to 50,000 women and girls across Bosnia who were subjected to sexual violence. One of those victims was Bakira. In April 1992, Bakira and her 18-year-old daughter were repeatedly raped at knife point by 15 militia at her home in Visegrad. Having survived this ordeal, Bakira founded the Association of Women Victims of War in 2003. Her aim was to gather evidence for the prosecution of war criminals who were behind the rape of tens of thousands of women during the conflict. In the years since, Bakira has fought for justice for these women, and she has campaigned to ensure that their voices are heard. In 2017, I attended the National Memorial event where Bakira spoke about the importance of breaking the silence around sexual violence in the Bosnian War. And I was so very struck, as so many people have been, by the sheer power and courage of her testimony. In 2018, Glasgow Caledonian University bestowed upon Bakira an honorary degree in recognition of her outstanding contribution to human rights and justice for women in Bosnia and Herzegovina, guided by a desire for justice rather than for revenge. Bakira's strength and courage is such an inspiration to all of us, and so it is absolutely right that we honour her this evening and thank her from the bottom of our hearts for everything she has done.
Today we honour Jamal Hodžić, a survivor of the siege of Sarajevo, the longest in the modern history of warfare at 1,425 days. During this time, over 11,000 people were killed, 1,601 of whom were children, mostly by sniper fire. Schools, hospitals, educational and cultural institutions, funerals and pedestrians were all targeted in a bid to take control of the city. On the 25th of August 1992, the Sarajevo City Hall and Library was completely destroyed by Serb shelling of the city. Over 700 rare manuscripts, incurbana, and a unique collection of publications of Bosnian culture and history were all destroyed, and hundreds of the majority of rare books were not saved. The City Hall was restored and reopened in 2004, symbolising the resilience of the city and its people. Today, Sarajevo is a city full of culture and history, an example of the efforts of its citizens striving to rebuild their lives in hope to secure a lasting peace in Bosnia and Herzegovina. We will never forget the victims and honour the survivors who lived through such dark times. Mae Cymru'n cofio Srebrenica. Wales remembers Srebrenica.
As we know only too well, the trauma and suffering caused by prejudice can leave a destructive legacy for future generations. But courage, compassion and a commitment to reconciliation have the power to break that cycle. And these are words that describe Munira Srebrenica. Munira lost her husband and her son in the Bosnian Genocide. Her son Nermin was just a teenager at the time.
As a mother myself, the loss that Munira has suffered and the anguish which she continues to endure is just unimaginable. And yet, her story is also one of hope. Munira and the other mothers of Srebrenica have never sought vengeance. Instead, they have driven a campaign for justice and spoken about their experiences in the hope that no one else will have to endure the same trauma.
She has dedicated her life to peace building and now leads the Mothers of Srebrenica organisation, which works tirelessly to build awareness and understanding of the impact of hate and intolerance. The executive was pleased to support her visit to Northern Ireland last year as part of our Together Building a United Community strategy, where she engaged with ministers and a range of groups.
Munira's visit to Belfast had a powerful impact on those that heard her story. And in our work to build a united community, we will learn from the experiences of Munira and people like her.
More than 20 years ago, 10,000 Bosnians came to the United Kingdom as refugees fleeing from ethnic cleansing and genocide. Now, across the country, the British Bosnian community who rebuilt their lives in Britain after experiencing the worst forms of hate are thriving and contribute to every facet of British life.
From 1994, when the first refugee came, Bosnian refugee came to the UK, I started actually to help people. I got some experience, I got some knowledge, so I told them, first, you have to go for English classes, for English language. Secondly, we started to meet, and then the community association being set up in 94, we started to meet from 94. In January 95, the Bosnian and Herzegovina Community Association being set up. These two things help, not just me, help the other Bosnians, help the children of the Bosnian family to be educated. So we now have more than 90% of them ending with degree level or more. It is the best society in a positive way towards the people who came over here, giving the opportunity for the people to learn, giving opportunity for the people to work, and giving opportunity for people to adapt. We are here because of ethnic cleansing in Bosnia, because of the genocide that's happened in Bosnia. But we are not here to hate the people, and we are helping people from the other communities from Bosnia, like Orthodox Serbs or Croats or Macedonian, on equal basis. Rebuilding life is tackling the hate, is tackling revenge.
I have noticed a lot of people around me, a lot of this bigger community of Stoke-on-Trent have learned a lot. And they want to reconnect. They ask me questions, and that's what I want, because that's a pure sign of people wanting to learn. The fact that I have a waiting list for people to go to Bosnia speaks volumes. The fact that people want to help me when I cook Bosnian food, the fact that the people come for my memorials every single year, that I get cards every Christmas or every New Year's from people. This kind of impact keeps extending past Stoke-on-Trent and past people that I already know is absolutely amazing. I could have never expected it to have such an impact.
Well, you don't have choice, really. You know, you lose everything. You want to survive. You know, you want to rebuild your life. You know, I come here like 23, 24 years old, almost in age when you are nearly finishing your university, looking for a job, and so you find yourself in a situation like when you are age 23, 24. You have to start like almost like a kid, little baby. You know. You have to learn language, then go to school, get education, degrees.
Incredibly difficult period. The more soothing and the easiest thing for my mum to do in that moment would have been to tell us to direct all of our anger at Croatians, to tell us that they're all the same, to tell us that they're all responsible, to tell us that all Christians, not just Croatians, but all Christians in this world are responsible, and that they're all equally responsible for, you know, like for Amina's death, for taking my father away and so on. But she did the most courageous and most difficult thing, and she told us that the best way to resist those that were trying to kill us was not to become hateful and angry like them. She explained that actually that there are good people out there and there are bad people out there. And I didn't understand these things at the time, and it wasn't just one conversation, and it wasn't just my mum and my grandparents as well. And it took them hard work and effort to help us understand these things, to understand actually we can't live our lives with hate and anger. We were initially settled in a collection centre in Newcastle, and it was that first night actually when I woke up with nightmares and suffered PTSD for many years with nightmares. Arriving in the UK initially was amazing because, as I said, the shock of not hearing explosions and gun sounds and just feeling safe and being with my dad, who I hadn't seen for well over a year. So initially it was amazing, absolutely amazing. And we had loads of volunteers that helped us and took us onto trips, and it was incredible. There was an elderly couple that lived next to the centre called Christina and John, who opened up their home, and they had held parties for the kids. So that initial period was absolutely incredible. Coming here, it was difficult because you come here and people think you have everything given to you. It wasn't like that. So it took us a long time to rebuild our lives. I think for our family in Bosnia, it was even more difficult because you're returning back to Stolac and places where you still see the same perpetrators, where they're still walking freely, even now, however many years after the war. But for us, as I said, my parents always made conscious effort and steps. And I always talk about peace isn't just the absence of war. Peace is the actions that we take to prevent war. And peace is difficult to achieve, and peace is difficult to maintain. It's not just a given. And what my mom did in the 90s, that was her kind of committing an act of peace. So for me and for my brother and my sister, it always goes back to that moment. And then coming here and having the support that we had, and having the friends that we had that helped us settle. As I said, it was very easy then to feel like you belong here. The biggest lesson from what happened in Bosnia is one, that we can't be complacent. That actually, if it happened in Bosnia, where you had people celebrating their religious holidays together, when in one family you might have had a Muslim, an Orthodox Christian or a Catholic and so on living together, and everyone recognizing these differences and appreciating and valuing these differences. If it can happen there, it can happen anywhere.
The importance of commemorating the Srebrenica genocide is heightened by the continued denial of what happened, both in Bosnia and around the world.
Doprinos miru jeste pravda i istina. Da bi doprinijeli pravdi i istini, trebamo govoriti istinu, jer 100 puta ponovljena laž negdje postaje istina. Nažalost, poricanje genocida ima kontinuitet i godinama se to radi. Da se ne bi dogodilo i da ne bi istina negdje izblijedjela u zaboravu, mi smo dužni zaista da o tome govorimo.
Uništiti 3 generacije ljudi. Taj primjer imam u svojoj porodici. Moj svekar, njegova 3 sina, njegova 3 unuka. Takvih generacija i takvih porodica u istočnoj Bosni je na hiljade, nije jedna. Da ti ljudi žele mir, mislim da bi sami trebali sjesti i priznati genocid, da što prije kažu i svojim, ne kažem nikad ne poistovjećujem sav narod, i nisam, ali ne mogu, kad svaki dan se pojavi neko, taman pomislite da je to sve okej, da će biti bolje, pojavi se neki događaj koji vam to odmah sve sroza što ste radili godinama, što ste željeli.
Sigurno kažem i tvrdim da u nama nema mržnje. U nama ima jedna ogorčenost, jedan prezir, jedno nerazumijevanje da postoje takvi ljudski umovi i takve morbidne ideje da ubijaju nevinu djecu od 2, 5, 7, 12, 15 godina. Nama je vrlo važno da buduće generacije znaju kakvo je to zlo ovdje bilo i da se to nikada ne ponovi.
Čuo sam majčin glas od moje majke, kako je zapomagala i plakala. Pobiše mi čovjeka i sinove. ali magla je bila pa nisam vidio. Samo sam čuo. Nikada više nisam čuo majčin glas. Kasnije sam saznao da su mi majka i 3 sestre ubijene u jednoj kući u Gornjim Ahmićima. I meni je rekao, iskorači 2 koraka. I sa metra je 1 metak opalio u sljepočnicu. Pogodio me u lijevi dio glave i metak mi je izašao na desni obraz.
Moja djeca, oni nisu živi. To Jenki, Dragan Nikolić, zna. Molila bi samo da znam u kojoj su grobnici. Da ih majka dostojanstveno sahrani. Da dođem gdje su njihove koščice. Da makar gledam. Da ih majka vidi. Da znam eto gdje su ukopani. Ali ne znam. Još nikad nisam saznala.
Bili smo jako žedni. Ljudi su čak pili vlastiti urin. Čuo sam neke ljude kako viču, dajte nam prvo vode pa nas onda ubijte. Razmišljao sam kako mi je stvarno žao što ću umrijeti žedan. U ranim jutarnjim satima 15. jula 1995. vojnici su me skinuli s kamiona i odveli do mjesta gdje sam mogao vidjeti red za redom ubijenih ljudi. Dok sam silazio s kamiona, pomislio sam da ću umrijeti brzo i da neću patiti. I mislio sam samo na to da moja majka nikad neće saznati gdje sam skončao.
Bili su skinuti do gola, a tijela su im bila crna od premlaćivanja. Nisu izgledali kao ljudi. Nakon što sam ih vidio, nisam mogao pojesti komad hljeba 2 dana. Nikada ne bih mogao pomisliti da ljudi mogu tako nešto uraditi drugim ljudima. Ne mogu opisati uslove u tom logoru, jer se nisu mogli porediti ni sa čim što sam vidio u životu. A bio sam zatočenik u logoru tokom 2. svjetskog rata. Bio sam 42. u logoru. Bio sam 45. u logoru. Ali ovaj logor, to nije zamisliti. To je smrt logora, a ne logor. Braćo, izgubio sam i 2. sina. Ubili su mi sina. Nikada više nisam vidio svog sina Envera živog.
Neko je morao ubijediti mog komšiju Srbina s kojim sam proveo čitav život, da sam ja njegov neprijatelj i da me treba ubiti.
Pošto je završio silovanjem, sjeo je i zapalio cigaretu. Rekao je da bi on možda mogao i više. I mnogo toga više. Međutim, da sam otprilike vršnjakinja njegove kćerke, pa za sada neće. Svaki od njih je silovao onu djevojku koju je htio i koliko puta je htio. Jedan crnogorski vojnik, star i odvratan. Odveo me u sobu gdje mi je prijetio nožem i govorio: vidjet ćete vi muslimani. Nacrtat ću ti krst na leđima. Sve ću vas pokrstiti. Sada ćete postati Srbi. Sigurno je bio star koliko i moj otac. Svi koji su me silovali govorili su iste stvari. Vi muslimanke, vi bule, pokazat ćemo mi vama.
Jednom su me pretukli tako da sam 4 dana bio u komi. Bio sam izbačen na hrpu leševa. Tu me našao jedan od kolega i vratio me nazad među žive. U logoru Omarska prema nama postupalo se na zvjerski način. Nije bilo nikakvih pravila. Nije uopšte bilo ljudskog dostojanstva. Ubijali su nas. Radili su šta god su htjeli.
There will now be the lighting of 11 candles by remembering Srebrenica's 11 regional and country boards to mark the 11th July, which is a Srebrenica Memorial Day.
U ime Allaha, milostivog, samilosnog, molimo te, Bože, da tuga bude nada, da zločincima kazna bude pravda, da majčina suza bude molitva, da se više nikada i nikome ne ponovi Srebrenica. Amin.
The Srebrenica prayer. We pray to Almighty God, may grievance become hope.
May revenge become justice. May mothers' tears become prayers.
That Srebrenica never happens again, to no one and nowhere.
It's an enormous honour to serve as the President of Remembering Srebrenica, and may I begin by thanking you all for taking the time to join us for this important commemoration today. I'd like to express my gratitude to the Ministry of Housing, Communities and Local Government for the consistent support from their staff, the Minister for Faith, Lord Greenhalgh, and the Secretary of State, Robert Jenrick, for funding Remembering Srebrenica. Without their funding, the important work of the organisation would not be possible. We've gathered online to commemorate one of the darkest chapters in our recent history. However, what this event has taught us is that there is good in humanity, and that there are people who will always choose hope over hatred, who do not allow false narratives to take root, and who fight every day to heal communities which have been divided. Our hope also comes from the survivors of the genocide, to whom I'd like to pay particular tribute. As you've heard, they continue to act with incredible courage and dignity, and despite experiencing pain and suffering, which is hard for us to comprehend, bravely share their testimony to teach others about the lessons which we can learn from. I'd like to thank each and every one of Remembering Srebrenica's small but dedicated team, as well as the chairs and members of the 8 English regional boards and 3 country boards in Scotland, Wales and Northern Ireland, for all they do. Can I also thank the 1,450 community champions who give up their time in a voluntary capacity to help tackle hatred and build cohesive communities. We're grateful to you all for what you do and your commitment to honouring the victims of the genocide and raising awareness, which has resulted in over 1,000 community actions taking place right across the country in local authorities, places of worship and schools, and indeed in many other institutions. These community actions have shown the positive impact that commemorating Srebrenica in the UK can have in terms of bringing people together to reflect on the importance of tackling hatred and intolerance and empowering individuals with the skills and knowledge to stand up to prejudice. So thank you once again for all that you do and for being part of today's online commemoration.
We thank you for joining us this evening, and we hope that next year we will once again gather in person to honor the victims and survivors of the Bosnian Genocide.